G'day, welcome back to part 2 of this drawer build for the workbench. Today this time I hope to get all the pieces cut and for the drawer sides and for the middle of the drawer. So I have planed down some pallet wood, and we're going to work out what size we need that wood to be now, you know, how wide, and yeah, we'll move on from there. Right, so here's our carcass from last week. So what I want to do is find out what the size between these drawers is. So just using my vernier. So what's that say? That's about 59. Yeah. Oh, that one's a bit smaller. So that says 59. Just make sure. Yep. That one's alright. Plenty of room there. Okay, so that looks like the smallest one, which is 59 millimeters. So I'm going to make it slightly smaller. 49 millimeters. And I think if we make it 47 millimeters, that will allow a little bit of room. So that'll be a good thing, I hope. So I'm going to cut some pieces to fit in here, which are going to be 47 millimeters wide. So I've got this fence set up to about 47 millimeters. I'm just going to use this piece here, scrap piece, just to test cut, and then I'll measure it just to make sure it's right. And that's perfectly set, so I'll go along. Oops, actually, yep, that'll do. So that is set pretty much on the mark, so I will come along and chop the rest of them. I might just raise that saw blade up a bit more though. So our narrowest one is here. If this fits in, we're all good. So that fits in quite nicely there. Right, so with that in place, I can work out how deep these need to be, and then we'll work out how wide they need to be. Right, so with our piece in here, we make sure that's flush with the front, and then we can make sure this piece is flush with the front. We can hold it there, hold it there, and then turn it round. And what I want to do is mark where it is. Is it flush? It's not flush. Knocked it. There we go. So what I want to do is mark where that MDF ends. So that will be right there, and that's the length of the sides of our drawer. Right, so with my mark set to one side of the saw blade, a stop block set up, I can go ahead and make 12 repeatable cuts. Right, now that we've got these pieces in, what I want to do is work out how long we are going to need the side piece. So I have a piece here, and that is too short. So, same again, let's just pull this out just a little bit. So with that against there, we can take this piece, pull on top of there, and mark just on the top here where it comes to the side. I don't want it to be quite that tight, so I'm just going to put my pencil on the line there and then just bring it there we go, and I need 12 at that length now, just as we did before. Okay, so if we now need to work out just how just how much space we need in there. So I was thinking, because I don't want it to be hard against the side, so I thought if I just take this ruler and plonk it in there and push that up, make sure that this end is right in the groove, and if I just put a line down here, then I know to line that one up on there, and we'll do the same on the other side. Just line down the middle there into there. So now I know that's where the sides line up. I can take the drawer out and work with just the drawer. So if I keep that mark lined up there and I keep this square, then I know exactly how wide my drawer is going to be. And this is the piece that runs in the slot. So there we go. So what I need to do now is work out just if these are going to fit. And they're going to be slightly too big. Oh well, we will take care of that in a minute. So the idea is to work out, get these drawers perfectly sized, then we can put MDF dividers in the inside to hold all our screws and bits and pieces. So what we need to do now is just work out how much space we have. So I'm just marking the thickness along there, and along there. Now we know we have that distance to play with, and I just want to divide that into 3. So our distance between our two lines is 215, so 215 divided by 3 equals 71.6, so 71's close enough. So let's go 71, which is right there. right there. Square those lines across. And there. And that now becomes our centre line for our cuts. If you remember from the previous video, if we put the saw blade on either side of that line, then we end up with roughly a 6mm cut. So we can do that on all our side pieces. Right, so what I've done is I have marked each of the pieces that I'm going to cut with a line on the top. That's to tell me that that's the end that always goes to the stop block. So I've also set up the saw blade to be on this side of the line and to only cut as deep as this cross line here. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to do all 12 pieces at that setting, and then I'll move the stop block to make the, or actually I can do it now. Yeah, I can then move the stop block to make the cut on the other side. Of course we'll check it with some with our shelf to make sure that it's the right thickness and just fine tune it, and then we'll be able to make repeatable cuts. And because I know that this side is always at stop block, they'll always be the same on all the pieces. Just takes care of any discrepancy in measurements and things. So let's get cracking with that. Okay, so we've got our cut there, and that was right on that line. So I need to just get it right there. Adjust our stop block to holding that down, just move that across and then squeeze it tight again, and then we can repeat our cuts. Okay, take our piece and just see if it fits, which it does. Look at that, that's perfect. Right, let's cut the rest of them. Now for the other side of the drawer, the back and the front. So the longest screws I've got are about 100mm. So if I make them 110mm spacing, then we come back 3mm, so that would be 107mm. That should be plenty. So yeah, so if we go, because I'm working this out as I film it, so yeah, just allow a bit of room for movement. So if that was 110, so that could be for the long ones. So if I make it yeah, 110 for some long ones. What if, how much does that give us? That gives us, let's see, 375 millimeters, so no light. 375 divided by 5 equals 75. So if we make those ones 75 mil, on the centres, yep, so that's 75, so that'll be 150. Oh, it's easier to do that. 75, 150, and that's just slightly bigger than 75, so that's okay, we can live with that. But what I do want to do is have some options. So I want to make that one, so that one is 110, so if I make that one 55, that means that the small screws and things have got less. So yeah, I think that's going to work. So we'll have some small compartments which I can cut off a spacer to make one big long compartment, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got those two, so that's 3, so that's 15. That's going to give us plenty of storage. So I've got my marks there. I'm going to transfer those across. Where's my mark? Where's my mark? There. There. And there. There we go. So I just want to make cuts just as we did with our other piece. Put these dados or something in them, and then we'll all be good to go. So again, I'm going to mark which end goes onto the stop block just by putting a mark on there. I'll do that on all the rest like I did before, and we'll come back when that is all done. Right, so there we are. We have our sides all cut, ready for the next stage. So the next stage will be to assemble the sides, and then we will be able to measure the length for the dividers to go in here, the MDF dividers. I'm going to start by just assembling this, the drawer sides. So yeah, here we go. So there we go. We'll repeat that on all the other ends. Right, now that we have the box together and it's all square, let's measure the distance between these two, just like we did on the carcass. So that's the gap there, and that is 503 millimeters. So, what's this one? And this is 503 millimeters. Which is great. Okay, so we need some strips that will be that long. So we need to cut those out of our MDF. Right, so we need to measure, which I've done, so that's 503 millimeters. Mark it with the square just down there, and then also on the edge here, just again with the square, just put your pencil on the line, bring your square up to your pencil and make your mark. Now we can go to the table saw and we can chop that piece off. Right, let's see how we've got on. Nope, I think we just need just a wee tad off that. Right, how do we get on? Let's try putting that end in there and that end in there, and brilliant, down it goes. Excellent. Okay, so we need to just mark, make sure that's down. So that's how long or how high we need our pieces to be. So we've got our mark here. I'm just going to bring the fence up so that the saw blade comes up to that edge, like there. Lock down the fence. That blade's up a bit high, so take it down a bit. There we go. And now I can just run off as many of those pieces as I can get out of this board. So there we go, we've got what, 4 pieces out of that. So they just should slot nicely into there. Great, now what we need is some pieces to go across this way. So we need to cut some more MDF and we need to measure our distances there, which is going to be 230. That's 232. It's 231. So 230 millimeters wide. So we'll get that set up with our sheet of MDF and we'll run off a whole lot of those, just like we did with these ones. Right, so we've got our dividers all cut now. Now for the fun part, putting them together like a jigsaw puzzle. So if that is right, just make sure that is perfect. It has to be perfect. So if that is perfect there, so just going to mark on here where each one's going to be. So something like that. So I've got my marks here, here, here. It's not easy to see. Yeah, there we go. It's right there. And there. So what I need to do now is to cut these on the table saw, but only to halfway. So find out what that halfway point is. So that says 46, which is nice. So that means 23 would be halfway. So 23 is there. So we need, because these are the outside edges, we need to cut to that side and then to that side. Okay, so first things first, let's try and sort out some height here. So the saw blade is set just slightly above that line. Right, so we want this side of the blade on the inside edge of that line. And we'll see how that goes. So there we go, that goes there. Put our stop block in here, and then clamp that down. We may need to move this, we just don't know yet. Actually, I can see now we do. Right, so let's call it there. Make the cut there, then move it along so that the outside edge of the blade is on the inside edge of this line here. Right, So let's make that first cut. Let's see how we did. So if that is hard in that groove, that I think is going to fit down there quite nicely. Right, so let's do the next one. I'm just checking to make sure that they all line up. So again, I think I need to mark that this end is the end that goes to the stop block, because of course down at the far end here, if I cut it the wrong end, it's not going to meet up. Okay, so at the moment this is all doing pretty well. Let's hopefully not jinx it, but I'm going to cut the others in the same way, and we'll come back when it's all done. Okay, so let's have a look. So my mark down the far end, that slides on like that, and that fits perfectly. So you can see that we're going to end up with lots of little places to put our tiny screws and things. Right, so now that I've got that in place, I can use this piece as my template to cut the other piece. So let's get that sorted on the table saw. So I'm going to use this as the template, and so I'm going to line up the edge of the teeth with the side of there, and set my stop block in place. Squeeze that. So now I've got that marked so that I know that we're going to that end, to the stop block end. So when I take this away and I put this in place, it should, in theory, cut in the exact same place as that. Just check here. You can hear it if you listen. Hopefully you can hear it on camera. You can just sort of hear it just catching the edge, which is perfect. Right, so we'll make that cut, and then we'll shift everything along so that it's on the other side, and we'll make that cut, and then we'll just keep going all the way down. Right, well, that worked surprisingly well. I thought it was going to be a little bit out because there were pieces in the middle of the cuts that we had to cut out. But actually, as you can see, it's turned out really well. So what do I need to do now? I need to mark on these pieces where the slots for those pieces are going to be. And I'll do that just by going on either side of these pieces here. So if I take that out, I'm going to call that one the template. So I'm just going to put a little T on that. Then we can take these out, and that's where we need to cut our corresponding slots. So using our template piece, we just line it up so that the edge of the teeth, the tungsten tips of the teeth, just sitting against there. We've got our stop block in place. We can take our template away and we can put in 4 of these pieces. What's that not sitting right now because it's on the teeth? And so 4 pieces we can cut at once. So we'll do that. Now we can slide that away, bring in the template. This time we want to move the stop block so that it's on the other side. Just lining it up with the edge there, bringing our stop block. Bring that back, bring in our 4 pieces, make sure they're all nice and tight against the stop block, and make the second cut. And of course, if you needed to, you can just slide them across, just make sure they're flush at one end, and chop out that middle piece like we did. So I'll carry on and I'll do that for this other piece, and we'll come back and we'll see if it all works. Right, so we've got our little pieces in there. Let's just see if these fit in. Right, well, that is solid. That's no movement there. That is, wow, I'm pretty chuffed with that. That is really cool. Okay, I've got a few more to do. So I'll do those off camera, but first of all, I think we need to get this thing in place. So we'll slide our drawer in, base in. So, and we'll slide our matrix in at the top. Like so. Not much for gap there. Right, so if we can get that flush, which it almost is. Just a bit of a gap on both sides. there, so let's mark there and let's mark it there. And if we can, without moving anything, we'll swing this around. Same mark and there. So if we pull that out, pull that out, let's keep the front to the front. This is the front. There we go. So we just need to screw that down and we'll have made our first drawer. Just checking that my lines are still okay, and they are. Right, so that's in place. So I'm just going to try and fit that in now. So I just want to make sure that it fits. Which it does. It still lines up with our marks, so we're good to go, I think. Ooh, but it is quite tight to get out. I think again, we're right on our mark. There we go. Right, so let's see how we got on. So if we push those in there, that slides in pretty good until it gets to about there. So there's plenty of room on this side and there's no room on that side. So I think we just sand it down just a bit until it fits. Right, so I'm just going to butt the sandpaper up. We've got our line there. Butt the sandpaper up and just sand it till that line's gone. Right, now we'll try it again. So some sanding on both the side and the inside of this case. We've got it to a point where it will slide in quite nicely to about there, and then it's a bit snug from there on. But I think that's a good thing because that will hopefully stop it from coming out when it's in the bench. So all I've got to do now is just put something in there so that I can open and close the drawer. So yeah, there we go. We've got some screws in there. So I'm making progress and getting my screw collection sorted. And that is where I'm going to leave it. I'm very happy with that. It's not going to slide out while the bench is in use, which is a great thing. And of course they've all got to have fronts put on them, which we'll do in one big hit for another video at another time. But yeah, I've got 5 more drawers to make, exactly the same as how I made that, and then we can put it into the bench. Alright, so there we go, we're done with the first drawer. It's got a few screws in it, so I'm really happy with that. It's nice and tight when it's fully closed, so it's not going to come undone when we're working on the bench. So yeah, please like and subscribe, and of course thanks for watching, especially if you watched this far. And off camera I'll be making the other 5 drawers exactly the same as I have done for this one, and next time we'll put it into the bench. So yeah, so join me then next time on the Workbench Apprentice.